Dan Martell shares a candid account of his troubled youth, involving foster care, group homes, and brushes with the law from a young age. At 17, after stealing a car and engaging in a high-speed police chase that ended in a crash, he reached what he calls his rock bottom. This defining moment triggered a profound shift in his life. Dan emphasizes that this low point was necessary for him to truly change, saying he wouldn't have transformed without hitting such a hard limit. His early years were marked by intense anger, emotional struggles, and feeling broken. Emotions that fueled poor decisions, but also ultimately became the bedrock for empathy and resilience. The hardships Dan endured have shaped his strong sense of empathy, particularly towards struggling youth. He explains how his mission is to prevent other kids from feeling broken like he did, drawing on his own experience growing up in tough circumstances. His empathy is not rooted in pity, but in genuine understanding and desire to foster change. He contrasts empathy for kids with his expectations of adults, holding adults accountable while nurturing and supporting the vulnerable. Dan developed an acute ability to read people, attributing it to the intense social learning he absorbed during his time in rehab and the challenging environments he grew up in. This skill, which he calls a superpower, lets him identify beliefs and intentions from language, body posture, and communication style. His insight into human psychology enables him to sense red flags and trust his intuition when making business decisions. He stresses the importance of observing how people communicate and questions their motivations behind sharing personal stories, highlighting how oversharing often signals insecurity. During rehab, Dan taught himself coding, which became his escape and passion. He recounts his first project, building a website for his father's cottage rental and then expanding to other local vacation rentals. This early entrepreneurial venture demonstrated his knack for spotting opportunities even before the internet era fully bloomed. His methodical approach, including contacting bed and breakfasts directly by mail, earned him his first income. From there, he gradually built 3 companies, eventually generating millions in revenue and selling those companies successfully. Dan challenges the conventional definition of feeling rich, framing it instead as living up to one's potential and having financial stability to not be burdened by scarcity. He recalls when his accountant called to inform him he had $1 million in cash at age 27, yet he didn't feel rich then. He speaks about wealth as a mindset more than an accumulation of money, driven by the desire to overcome feelings of not being enough. Dan connects this to trauma responses, noting that high achievers and those facing homelessness alike wrestle with similar inner battles. What differs is how they respond to these struggles. One of the biggest misconceptions Dan highlights is the belief that your bank account reflects your education, talent, or opportunities. In fact, he asserts that net worth is a reflection of self-worth, how much you believe you deserve. People who repeatedly struggle financially tend to have limiting beliefs around their deservingness. He also debunks the idea that money is earned by working hard alone. Rather, income is tied to the value you create and how much others are willing to pay for it. Dan urges listeners to audit their beliefs around money and recognize when negativity or scarcity mindset holds them back. Dan advises that the environment and the people you surround yourself with fundamentally affect your growth. Without others around who aspire for more, it's hard to advance. He stresses adopting a mindset of opportunity, positivity, and commitment rather than victimhood. Practical success requires internal alignment where belief, energy, and consistent action reinforce one another. He also encourages rejection of negative or unsupportive voices, cultivating a circle of cheerleaders instead. For those wanting to earn extra income quickly, Dan suggests leveraging AI tools like ChatGPT to offer services such as AI-powered marketing for local businesses, especially real estate agents. He explains how automating lead generation and communication can create scalable opportunities, even for beginners. His approach hinges on embracing new technology to bridge gaps in traditional industries. Dan emphasizes the importance of persistence in outreach and learning the sales process, turning initial failures into eventual wins. Dan explores how AI is revolutionizing multiple facets of business, from marketing to financial analysis to customer service, with tools that can automate complex tasks and provide strategic insights. He shares examples such as AI detecting errors in insurance billing or preparing investor questions from lengthy reports, illustrating the power of AI to augment human decision-making. He envisions AI acting as a personal assistant that improves efficiency and creativity, freeing humans to focus on higher-value work requiring emotional intelligence and taste. Concerns are raised about AI's potential misuse and malicious applications. Dan references Elon Musk's advocacy for democratizing AI access as a safeguard against concentration of power. He reflects on the ongoing evolution of AI as both an extraordinary opportunity and a possible existential threat. The integration of personalized AI assistants that grow with humans raises questions about dependency and identity. Dan considers how AI might change workplaces, intellectual property ownership, and even intimate relationships in profound ways. Dan challenges common beliefs about sharing goals, superstition, and manifesting success. He shares his early skepticism about publicly stating intentions due to fear of failure and social pressure, but acknowledges the power of verbalizing goals to activate support and resources. Conversations and human connection create opportunities and accountability. He advocates for strategic communication to foster momentum, arguing against silent, passive goal setting. While some question studying extremely successful figures given their atypical traits, Dan believes pattern recognition remains a useful strategy. He frames success as a function of becoming the person capable of achieving desired goals, not simply acquiring skills. Overcoming self-sabotage and limiting beliefs is crucial. He also cautions against comparing oneself too harshly with highly exceptional personalities, advocating instead for focusing on growth and surrounding oneself with supportive, aspirational individuals. Dan emphasizes subtractive change, removing negative influences and distractions, as the key to transformation rather than merely adding new activities. Establishing a purposeful morning routine centered on early rising, hydration, movement, gratitude, and intentional reading primes the day for success. He discusses the mental refresh and clarity gained from physical exertion, describing workouts as an etch-a-sketch reset that clears doubts and primes focus. The practice of gratitude cancels out negative emotions and sets a positive tone. Dan underscores the importance of outsourcing non-core tasks to regain time and energy for high-impact activities. He advocates systematic workflow analysis to identify tasks that can be delegated without compromising quality. The 80-10-10 principle guides how much ideation, execution by others, and integration one should invest. He shares how hiring trusted house managers and assistants improves personal and family life while freeing mental bandwidth for creative and strategic work. Learning from past financial mistakes, Dan recounts losing millions in a failed business acquisition due to underestimating operational demands and emotional toll. He acknowledges that early success sometimes breeds overconfidence, leading to poor decisions. He stresses thoughtful investment and avoiding distractions. The best money spent, he says, is on buying back time, investing in people and systems that manage aspects of life and business, allowing focus on things that bring joy or growth. His highest return investment is in personal relationships, especially his wife and key team members who manage crucial aspects of his life and work. Dan pays significant salaries for trusted roles like house managers and executive assistants, valuing peace of mind and operational excellence over luxury goods. He recounts how his assistant orchestrated a complex 9-month world schooling trip for his children, freeing him and his wife to focus on family and business without logistical stress. Working out remains Dan's non-negotiable daily habit for physical and mental health. Among tools, ChatGPT stands out as indispensable for generating ideas, enhancing productivity, and handling complex information. He confesses a lifelong habit of reading extensively, not for new information, but to reinforce and refresh his mindset. The Bible and classic success literature, like Think and Grow Rich, have profoundly influenced his perspective. Dan shares a memorable failure when he offered employees $15,000 to quit as a test of company culture. A significant percentage accepted, which led to months of turmoil and was ultimately a painful lesson in leadership and decision-making. This experience taught him humility and the dangers of impulsive actions despite good intentions. Dan reflects on early misconceptions, such as equating money with evil or bankruptcy as a necessary step to prove success. He realized these were damaging, limiting beliefs that delayed his progress. Recognizing money as a neutral tool empowers healthier attitudes towards wealth accumulation. He advocates understanding one's own beliefs about money and consciously choosing those that support rather than inhibit growth.